we are back with KLONA Conversation. This is your girl Lois Nantai Samba, aka KLONA. For those that have not watched any episode of ours, please go back and check on those videos. You will really enjoy it. We discuss matters that make sense. We give you value for data, value for money, and value for your time. So for now, we are going to discuss high net worth real investment. What do we mean by this? What are those things? What do they mean? Are those things even in Uganda or maybe in Dubai? Today I have brought you someone who is very well invested, very knowledgeable, also looks the money itself. What tribe are you?
Mchiga.
You're Mchiga?
Yes.
And a brother wa governor, eh? Now you know what I'm talking about. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, KLONA.
Who are you, by the way?
Oh, my name is Architect Trevor Muhumuza.
So the architect is also a name?
Yes, it's a title, just like doctors have titles. They say I'm Dr. So-and-so, so you can also have an architect so-and-so.
So I can say I'm a statistician, Lois Chisam?
No, it's only for doctors, architects, and professors.
Okay, fine,
So I'm Trevor Muhumuza. I'm an architect by training, but a businessman by profession. And I have a company called Angeletti Design Studio. It's an Italian word.
So what does that mean?
That's a conversation for another day.
Sure.
Yeah, but the company is Angeletti Design Studio. We are located in Kampala, but we also have a branch in Dar es Salaam.
Wow. I think I've seen some of your buildings, those high, most expensive buildings in Kampala. So today we want to talk about real estate, but mainly high net worth real estate. Have you heard about something like that?
Well, the word high net worth real estate, because high net worth is mostly a term associated with people. So you would actually call it maybe high-end real estate.
Yes, high-end real estate.
Yeah, so just to give you a brief background, I'm an architect by training, and what we do is we design both residential, commercial, and hospitality buildings. So we've been in this industry for the last 13 years, and so we're well conversant with the kind of projects that go around in this city and also in this country.
And even in East Africa.
And in East Africa, of course, yes. So most of the properties on the market are usually very expensive. Very expensive. We're talking about in terms of things like apartments, hotels. If you look at our market and what they can afford, a lot of the products that are rolled out on the market are for really a very small percentage of the population.
Which is what we are here to discuss. Of late, I've seen Kadeza.
Yes.
I have seen Summit View Naguru. I have seen many high-end, exquisite swimming pool, gym kind of apartments. Are those targeting Ugandans or they're looking for someone else?
No, firstly, you have to see where is the location of that site. The projects you have mentioned are located in Nakasero, which is one of the high-end neighborhoods. Sure. Naguru, high-end, and Kololo. Actually, in this order, Kololo is the most expensive neighborhood in Uganda, followed by Nakasero, then you go to Naguru, then you go to places like Munyonyo. So when you're building there, first things first is what is the cost of the land. Land in Kololo is about $2 million an acre.
Only the land?
Only the land, and it's one of the most expensive land in the world. Actually, we were ranked the highest, having the most expensive land.
In the world?
In the world, yes.
Why?
It's
what makes the Kololo land expensive?
Price of land here is driven by many factors,
like?
And one is parking of cash. A lot of times people want to park money, and the quickest way to park money is in real estate because it can quickly absorb, and also you can do a transaction which is cash-based. I can come today with $2 million in cash and buy land. So you don't necessarily have to bank this money, so then actually it may not even be traced. Yes.
So you get your money, invest in land in Kololo?
Yes.
No Sirika?
Yes.
So would that be high-end real investment?
So what happens, of course, is once somebody wants to develop a property in Kololo, you start off with land is $2 million. So the project you put on will also have to start. It's $2 million, yes. $2 million going above. So even if you put one house on Kololo, the cost of that house is $2 million of the land plus the value of the house. So if you're selling it, you're selling at $2 million plus what you've built the house plus profit.
Wow. Is that in Uganda or elsewhere?
Oh, it's in Uganda.
Seriously?
Very serious. If you just go around, look at the billboards, signboards, go to sites of real estate managers like Knight Frank and look at the cost of properties, and you'll see properties start at about $120,000 for a one-bedroom apartment, and it's $120,000 US, going up as high as $300,000 for a 2-3 bedroom apartment.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do we really have Ugandans who buy such properties?
Of course.
Like the Muhammad, like, okay, not Muhammad, but like with a local name like Nantai, walking to Kololo and buying that property.
Yes, plenty. There are very many locals, of course, who have made a lot of money, but this percentage is quite small, very, very small.
So the people who invest in that, what is their target market? Who are they targeting?
One is they have liquidity. They have done several good deals, I would say deals, and with that is where can they put the money? So they can either put the money on the bank account. Now you leave it there on a fixed deposit on dollar, you'll be getting what, 2% return? That's quite small. Or you can go and buy several apartment units and then put them up for rent. Now rent, you'll be getting about maybe $3,000 per month, which is way better than what you'd be getting on what?
On
the fixed
fixed
deposit.
account.
Plus you have the asset, which is there, and then also you have the cash flow, which can also help you access credit. If you want to borrow, you now have cash flow that's coming in.
Okay. So there is someone who is watching and has that money, but wants to invest in Uganda,
Yes.
targeting the high-end clients.
Yes.
What would you tell them?
Firstly, of course, how much money do you have? And again, what is your end game? What is your goal?
What do you want?
What do you want? Yes. The target market of the high end are quite few. So you're actually chasing the same people who all these big property developers are pursuing.
Where do those guys be?
Which people?
Those people with that money.
They live in Kololo. They live in Kololo, they live in Nakasero, they live in Munyonyo, they live in such neighborhoods. That's where they be. Yes.
So if you have to invest in such, those are the areas you should build in.
Of course, it's a bit of a challenge. One is because the planning has changed. Kololo now, some areas have been degazetted from residential now to commercial. And the challenge that people in Kololo are having, for example, is Acacia Avenue, which has all the bars that are making a lot of noise.
And yet they are high end.
Yes. Also in Kololo, you find that now, because of the cost of the land, if you're to build, you have to build something going up. Now, when you build going up, you look into the neighbor's property.
Good.
Yeah, so people who used to be comfortable in the bushy Kololo neighborhood now do not have privacy, so they have to move out. And then even if you move to a place like Chigo, which is also high-end, you're building, an acre in Chigo is going for like in excess of R1 billion.
Seriously?
Yes, over R1 billion.
Wow.
But now even the people who bought there, built nice houses, now people are also starting to put apartments because there is no planning, no direction. It is just, it's like a cowboy state. Anybody can do anything, anywhere.
So for me, my question is, for these people who want to invest in that, like usually they're not Ugandans, probably they married Ugandan or they like Uganda, like for the weather and everything, they got their retirement money. Some Muzungu or white guy out there wants to come to Uganda and invest. I want you to help them. Number one, buy here. Number two, here, and this is what you should do.
Okay, the first piece of advice is hire a good consultant.
Do we have? Yes,
we do. You hire a good consultant. This could be an architect. What we do in our business is we even advise, even before you start on a project, Lois will come to me and say, I want to invest in high-end real estate. I'll tell her, first of all, why do you want to invest in that? Do you have land where you're going to do it? What is your budget? Are you going to be getting money from your account or are you going to be getting bank finance? What is the timeline? Who's the target market? You see, all these are the questions I'll ask you before. So that's called feasibility. So even before you put $1 down, you'll say, do you know what, I don't think Uganda is the right place.
Exactly.
For me, maybe I should invest in Kenya or Tanzania, or maybe I should invest in Mbarara or invest in Mbale. You know, this is the dialogue we have before you even start spending any money.
So you're suggesting that they need to work with a consultant,
exactly.
a local consultant.
First thing is you start with a local consultant because he knows the turf.
So who are these consultants? Are they architects? Are they land surveyors? Are they lawyers?
You start off with the architect. One is because the architect works with many disciplines. And the architect is usually the project manager, so they oversee the project from start to finish. And there's a list of architects, which is online. If you just go and search architects in Uganda, there's a list by the Architects Registration Board that is published. So you can pick any one of those. Those are professional people. You can pick any one of those, and then you start by having a dialogue, whether it's on Zoom if you're not in the country, before you travel. You have that conversation, and after that, if you feel the project is viable, then you can go step by step in terms of legalities and other things like that.
I've heard something like people who have prime land, like Kololo land, but then they don't have the money to invest in Have you heard about it?
Yes, of course.
What
Many,
is
many
it
people.
called? Yes. So if someone wants to have such a partnership, especially Ugandans,
Yes.
like your parents left you land in Kololo, you don't want to sell it, you want to develop it, Nakuru, but you don't even know where to start from. What would they do?
So again, as I've mentioned, you start with a consultant, you know. They're also financial consultants.
Oh.
Yeah, these are people who actually can advise you and also source for finance.
Okay.
And they can also strategize and, for example, say, we have developers who don't have land, they are not native to Uganda and they can't own land. You have land. Is there where you can have a partnership or a synergy where they can come on with the money, you bring on the land, then they'll give you the equivalent of the value of your land plus, of course, a profit on top of that.
So these people who have the land but don't have the money, then those that have money don't have the, at what point do they meet?
Of course, sometimes
With
it's
a
luck.
consultant?
Sometimes it's luck because,
Yeah.
again, if you have the land but you don't know where to start,
Exactly.
how are you going to start? But again, if you know an architect or you approach a person like us or you approach Angeletti and you say, I have land and I don't know what to do with it, now we know the financial people who can actually connect you to the resources. So we can actually connect the pieces. Yeah, but again, this information needs to be out there, you know.
That's why we are here.
Yes, it needs to be out
People
there.
have prime lands. I've met so many people who have prime lands. Have you worked in a place, for example, which has very nice buildings? Then there is this gazetted piece of land that has nothing.
Yes.
And when you ask such people, they are like, we don't want to sell our land, but we also don't have the money to invest in.
Yes.
So they are stuck.
Yes.
And this is the purpose of this conversation, to help them understand how do you invest, where do you go. Okay, apart from being the consultant, because Balutia. We also have Bafele in things of real estate, you know that.
Yes, of course.
So how do you even prevent that? How do you avoid working with the fraudsters in the land and the real estate empire?
Okay. Firstly, of course, you need to have a bit of knowledge, which is also you need to do your due diligence. E.g., when you're buying a plot of land, you need to do things like a basic search. Check and see is the title clean. And then you also need to hire teams of professionals. Hire lawyers and then ask them, what have they done? If you're hiring an architect, don't just say, you're an architect. Say, what have you done? Take me to your project. Introduce me to some of your clients. Are they giving testimonials? How did that working relationship go? That's the way you can filter out Wafere, because tomorrow I can say I'm a medical doctor. Or I can even say I'm a lawyer, dressed based on the way I'm dressed.
And you look like a
and
lawyer.
People may think, and they'll bring me their documents and I'll tell them put a filing fee, 5 million. They'll give it to me and I can disappear. You see that? But then if they ask me, name your last 5 clients, and then they say, do you mind if we talk to them? And I say, please, go ahead. Then there they can filter out already that I'm not what? A lawyer.
So in what Trevor is saying, that as you're trying to match up whether you want to invest in high-end or high-net real investment, you need to work with the consultants, you need to work with the professionals, but also you need to have some knowledge about this field. Like you need to know how to do a search, the basics of, can I call someone, did you work with so and so, can I get a referral from that? Now Uganda, they can still stage up people. I can stage 5 people to give me a referral, but we are going for a break. But still, we are at Canary Hotel, Bokoto, the best place to be. As you're hitting the jam, you can drop by for a drink in their restaurant. You can actually have a night over for those that don't keep looking for where to sleep. This place has the best rooms. They are cheap. Okay, they are cheap, but nice. They are bed sheets. Oh my God, they are 10 threads. If you know, you know. I'm going for a break. When I come back, I'm continuing with this conversation. Thank you.
Obulamu obweyagaza butandika n'amaka amayooyoote obulungi. Tuukiriza ekirooto ky'okwezimbira ennyumba naffe ku Zek Systems. Tukuleetedde Birds View Estate Kavule. Poloti zaffe nsava ate nga ssente ntono nnyo. Ku miliyoni 15 zokka weefunire poloti eya 5 ku 10. Poloti zaffe nteeketeeke bulungi kubanga amazzi n'amasannyalaze weebiri. Birds View Estate Kavule esangibwa ku Semuto Road kilomita 8 okuva e Matugga. Ate wulira kino, ensasula ya mpola mpola. Tulina ne poloti mu bitundu ebirala nga Bugema ku miliyoni 19, Dundu miliyoni 23, Namayumba miliyoni 8 ne Busiika miliyoni 17. Tukubireko oba tukyalire ku ofiisi zaffe e Matugga ne Kampala. Zek Systems, ku lw'enkulaakulanayo. We
are back and we are still discussing high-end investment, and we are with the best person to talk about this. Are the best?
We are ranked top 100 in the world.
Okay, which number are you?
In the world?
Yes.
Well, we're nominated to be in the top 100. So
Nominated.
Top 100 architects in the world.
Like you're 101 or 2 there.
That's okay.
Okay, perfect. So you're the right person to talk about this. So Trevor, for someone, we are still talking about investors who would want to invest in Uganda but cannot own property. And then there are Ugandans who have high-end property. They don't have the money to invest on such property.
Yes.
And you're advising them how to go about it.
Yes.
Let's continue that conversation. What else should they know? Apart from the search, getting the consultant, working with professionals, what else do they need to know?
So of course, after getting all those done, and of course there's other documentation that has to happen before the project can go on. Once they get all the paperwork, the documents, they have the costings of the project, then that's when they're able to approach a financier. The financier will ask what is the budget, you know. No, the finance consultant would have come on board before.
To give the return on investment.
Yeah, of course, he has done the paperwork, you know, saying this is the return, this is everything. So with that documentation is when the financier is approached. Now the financier will look through it and say, is this feasible for me? Can I invest in this and get a good return? And if the answer is yes, then they can have a what? A synergy. Of course, there'll be a negotiation where the financier can come on with very harsh terms and say, look, I'm bringing on the most money. Your land is valued at this, so I'm taking 90%, you're taking 10%. And most people in Uganda think, no, it is my land, it is my project, we should be 50-50.
It is 2 billion, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, so people should also be open-minded. You know, a lot of challenges we have had is sentiment. This land belonged to my great-grandfather, it's family land, we can't sell. Now, how can you sell condominiums? Because when you sell condominiums, it's the condominiums. Yes, the apartments go as condominiums, but also the land is equally owned by the what? The development. So you, the landlord or the landowner initially, has to seize your ownership to the condominium. Yeah. So many people don't want that.
Oh, but then, now looking at the investor, because
Yes.
I think the property owner is safer, usually. It's the investor who has so many questions. What's my return on investment? The fraudsters in Uganda.
Yes.
What if the political environment changes and
Yes.
all that?
Yes.
Comparing East Africa widely, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, where would you advise them to invest?
Of course, Uganda. Look, this is our country.
Really?
Why should investments go to,
Some of us want to go to Kenya.
Yes, you can go to Kenya. Kenya is booming. They have a good middle class, and also they have big real estate
And
developments going up.
Than ours.
Same with Tanzania. If you go to a city like Dar es Salaam, there's a lot of construction and building going there. But again, Uganda, the population is also growing, and these people have to stay somewhere. And we need facilities, you know, and now there's oil and gas. You're going to get a lot of people coming into the country, you know. So you need such projects. You need high quality projects where these people or these expatriates can actually live. So it's a necessity. The people who do it and the people who do it well, e.g. you can see the Ruparelia group, they will get people staying there because they are providing a level of quality that meets international what? Standards. Yeah.
Okay. So my other question is, does that mean that only in Kampala and Great Kampala, Wakiso Mokono, is where you can do high-end investment, or you can actually go outside Kampala?
Now again, I'm sure you've traveled to many of the districts. So what do they call them now? Districts, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You've been to Mbara, you've been to Arua, you've been to Mbale, you've been to Jinja. Again, there's 1% of this population, about 1% can afford properties of that caliber.
1% of the population will mean 500,000.
About 500,000 people, Ugandans.
So the rest you're forgiven in peace.
Yeah, so if you want to verify this data, you can just go and look at World Bank statistics, and they'll show you the different brackets. The top end, who can afford that, they'll show you the middle end, and then they'll show you the low end. So the majority, about over 70% of the population is below, can't afford a house of less than maybe 20 million shillings. That's about 70% of the population, below 20 million. So imagine if you're to develop a property and you have to sell it at 20 million, it means you're developing a property for 10 million.
Exactly.
But that is the majority. Exactly. But now here we're talking about the top, the high-end properties,
$120,000.
$120,000. Most people don't even earn that in a year.
Exactly. So the target for these people is 500,000 people, given the new statistics.
Yeah, it's a small number, because even of those 500,000, that number could include even people who are just working, fresh graduates who are working. It doesn't necessarily mean the people who have the $100,000 to go and put on a property. Such a person must be really liquid or must have, access to a bank loan. But to have access to a bank loan of $100,000, your earnings must be even about maybe 10,000 or 5,000. Yeah,
history must be very, very good.
Correct. Yeah,
which you may not have.
Yeah.
We have people in the first generation, like first generation wealth,
Yes.
that can afford such properties in Uganda.
Of course, there are many people who have made it from nothing. If you look at, say, the generation of our parents who came from the village, so they came with nothing. Their parents were peasants. They came to Kampala, then they have been able to what? Make that money. So that you could call that first generational money. So those can afford, but those are people in their 70s, 80s, around that age bracket.
The old rich.
The old rich. No, those are not the old rich. The old rich are those whose parents were rich and probably inherited, grew up in money. But these are people who came from the Chalo, made their money, now they have their money. Now they have produced what? These are planned children.
Like Trevor.
Yes, I'm a planned child. But nonetheless, you also have young people who have been innovative and have been able to make it. Young businessmen, they're in their 40s, they're in their 30s, who have been able to, do something and then make a lot of money legitimately. And so these are also able to afford that. But then these are such a small group. If you have 20 property developers putting up high-end, real estate, they're targeting these same people. So you will find Muhumuza is buying here, he's buying here. He's the same person. The same people are buying in the same what? Areas. Then, of course, you have expatriates, like these foreigners, the Eritreans, the Sudanese who come in here with their cash, and then the Somalis, and then they said, you know what, we have our money. Then they are able to purchase these properties. Yeah.
Do they ever have such investment in other areas like Kabale? Do you think it's a viable business?
Now, of course, as you move outside Kampala, because Kampala has a concentration of the wealthy people, though the wealthy people come from these different areas, but most of them maybe are based in Kampala. So as you go further out, the purchasing power actually goes down. If you go to places, different districts, different towns, you live and see the quality of hotels. What price point are they asking? Serena here is $400+ a night. You cannot charge $400+ in Kabale. You can't even charge $100+ in Kabale.
Even with all its serenity and
even if you put a swimming pool, jacuzzi, you're serving caviar, you cannot still charge that money in Kabale, because people there, you may find 1 or 2 people, yes, they'll go and stay in that hotel, but that is not sustainable.